Let me first introduce current assets. The current assets are defined as assets that are expected to be converted to cash or consumed within 1 year, or one operating cycle if the business operating cycle is longer than 1 year. In most cases, we use 1 year as a cutoff. What is operating cycle? We use a typical merchandising or manufacturing company as an example. It starts with cash outflow to acquire inventory or raw material, then production or sales. Finally, collect cash from the customer. So from the cash outflow to cash inflow, this cycle is called operating cycle. Some operating cycle may just take a few days, a few weeks, or even months. For example, Walmart purchased the generator from China. It may take months for the generator to be sold. The duration of operating cycle takes months. A different example, Walmart purchased socks from China. The operating cycle for this product is only a few days or weeks. So the Walmart's operating cycle is the average of all its products. Some companies' operating cycle may be longer. For the real estate, the builders, aircraft manufacturers usually take a longer time to manufacture and deliver their products. Anyway, we use 1 year as a cutoff. In our textbook, we refer 5 typical components of current assets. And these assets are reported in the order of their liquidity. Cash and cash equivalent is the most liquid current assets, while prepaid expense is considered least liquid current asset. So this is a part of balance sheet of Nike financial information for 2019 and 2020. Nike report 5 current assets. By comparing the 2 years data, we can find the change in each current assets. Cash equivalent increase, short-term investment more than doubled, while receivables reduced. Inventory grows, prepaid expense decrease. The total current assets increase over $4 billion. Let me first introduce the most liquid current assets, cash and cash equivalent. Cash itself is actually liquidity. In the cash accounts, the cash are either on hand or in banks. Therefore, cash includes bank drafts, cashier checks, money orders, and cash equivalent. So these are cash, including the cash we refer, the dollar bill, coins, and the cash equivalent includes the short-term investment that mature within 3 months. So the securities include commercial papers, money market fund, and the U.S. Treasury bills. These assets, their maturities are less than 3 months. So they are considered as cash equivalent. Next, short-term investment. This investment includes the investment in stock or debt securities of other corporations. The company has ability or intent to sell these securities within 1 year or operating cycle. And these investment in the securities are classified as short-term investments. In financial accounting, we classify the financial investments into 3 different categories: held to maturity, trading securities, and the security available for sales. Depends on the intention of the company to hold these investments. While held to maturity only apply to the debt securities, because stock securities has no maturity. And trading securities can only be classified as short-term investments because the purpose to hold these securities is for trading. These securities will be converted to cash within 1 year. Security available for sale, some can be classified as short-term, some can be classified as long-term. I will provide more detailed information regarding these three categories later. Accounts receivables usually result from sales on account. This is a credit provided by the company to their clients. And also, receivables result from sales is also referred to trade receivables. There are also non-trade receivables. For example, the loan to the company's employees. These are receivables from employee, which are not result from sales. There's another receivables called notes receivables. This receivable is supported by a formal agreement or notes, which also usually an interest-bearing receivable. The company will receive the payments, the principal also, including the interest. Inventory for manufacturing companies, inventory is very critical for manufacturers because they need the raw material for their production. So for the manufacturer, they generally report 3 inventory accounts: raw material, work in process, and finished goods. This is an example regarding the inventory disclosure of Intel. The company report inventory in 3 different categories. In the managerial accounting courses, the raw material includes labors and overhead will become work in process. When all the production process are complete or all the costs of production incurred, it will become finished goods. Finished goods is ready for sales. From raw material to finished goods, it is a process of production. It is also a process for cost accumulation. The next one is prepaid expense. We introduced this account in the prior chapter, the adjusting journal entries. The prepaid expenses arise when a company incurred a cost of acquiring an asset in one period and won't be expensed until a future period. It is an example of deferred expense. We know deferred expense is an asset. For this expenditure, the company first capitalizes this expenditure as an asset. We will recognize expense when this asset is consumed. And usually, prepaid expense as an asset will be consumed within 1 year. So that's the reason why prepaid expense is classified as current assets. The example includes supplies, prepaid rent, prepaid insurance. Remember, prepaid insurance usually covers 12 months, right? So usually this prepaid insurance expense will be consumed within 1 year, which is consistent with the definition of current assets. One is convert to cash, the other is consumed. That's 5 typical current assets very commonly used in the financial reporting. Let's do a practice. The definition of current assets is the assets become cash or consumed within 1 year of operating cycle, which is longer. But in this class, we rarely use the example for the company whose operating cycle is longer than 1 year.